Greetings, my dear viewers. It is I, Drayon, and welcome back to a raw guide to Dungeons and Dragons, where we're taking a look at currency. That's right, currency within Dungeons and Dragons. How do you use it? We get lots of it from killing monsters, raiding villages, pillaging merchant carts, and raiding dragons' dens. But what do we do with it all? A lot of dungeon masters have made videos in the past about this particular problem, which is honestly kind of humorous in my opinion. You got all this gold and you don't know what to do with it? Come on, it's quite easy. Let's go ahead and go over 10 different things you can use your money on. Number 1. The first one's going to be equipment. And no, I am not really joking. Equipment is one of the main things that you should be using your currency on. From spell components to rations, ammunition, your weapons and armor, some potions perhaps. Those little pieces of adventuring equipment that you might find useless, like caltrops, ball bearings, perhaps even alchemist fire, poisons. Something that could end up becoming useful some point down the line. You could even use your money to buy magic items, which, yes, they're going to be expensive, and sometimes it's probably not a good idea to be selling magic items all willy-nilly. They're supposed to be something rare, but it is possible to sell magic items. But the main thing is, nobody uses this point because they don't keep track of their equipment. You really need to keep track of your inventory, people. This has been a problem in a lot of different scenarios that I have gone over in these videos. Nobody keeps track of their inventory. How much ammunition have you used? How many rations have you eaten? What's your water skin like? What about your armor, your weapons? How good are they still? Drayon, you might say. Armor and weapons don't need to be replaced. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle, is because once the paladin has bought their plate armor, they don't need to buy more until they find a magic plate mail. And that's where I got a little bit of a homebrew going. If you watched my video of sieges, protecting and attacking inanimate structures, then you probably already know this little detail. But in the books, objects have not only hit points, but their own armor class based off the material and how well made those items are. So your standard, let's say, plate mail could have, say, as a full suit of plate mail armor, you got 18 hit points with a nice armor class of 19. You could have attacks going at your opponent's armor and possibly destroy that armor in the long run. Now I know what you're thinking, Drayon, why in the world would I want to destroy my player's armor? That's a little weird. And yes, it kinda is. And you're probably thinking, on top of this, well, couldn't I just put a well-placed fireball? Well, no, that is because the fireball spell targets creatures. So a fireball would not be able to damage or even destroy armor. It only affects the creature. However, there are spells that say that they can target an object as well as a creature. So you could imagine that would be pretty useful. Throw a couple of fire bolts at a paladin and damage their armor, making it easier to destroy, or maybe even clash swords, or take an axe to a shield. Make things harder for the player, or even for an NPC. Furthermore, this is where we start getting into the homebrew part, since hit points and armor class for objects are technically rules as written. But my homebrew part is that magical items, like a magic sword, would have resistance to all damage types, while legendary magic items and artifacts have a limited magic immunity. So spells of 6th level or below are unable to affect them. Sort of like with the Rakshasa. Now that would be interesting. This would let your players know that magic items would be the way to go. A magical suit of armor, no matter what type of armor it is, would be better than a good armor that would actually get destroyed rather quickly with a well-placed spell. Number 2. Mounts and animals. This is actually a pretty good thing to go over, because what if you are traveling a long distance? What if you're giving chase? You don't have the speed to catch up to a moving train, so you need a mount. Or maybe you need some extra carrying capacity. You certainly can't carry all this equipment, so have a pack mule with some saddlebags. Or perhaps an elephant. Funny story, actually. I did give my players a war elephant. Unfortunately, they forgot about it and left it behind. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. Number 3. NPC services. This is another thing that, honestly, players should be thinking about. Because what if they need to grab a cab? Get some hired mercenaries to help them in fighting off this group of bandits. Or maybe, just maybe, they need a messenger to go to another city. Warn the king that they are being targeted by assassins. Or maybe they need a ship's passage. Or they need some spell-casting assistance, because it's probably early levels. Surely your wizard doesn't know the magic circle spell. Or maybe your cleric was downed in combat, so you need another healer to heal your healer. Number 4. Food, drink, and lodging. Once again, this is probably a no-brainer. You need food. You need a place to rest your head. So having these sort of things just sort of makes sense. Especially when you're at your lower levels, you don't have much, but you have something. So be able to afford certain food and certain drink while you're staying at a local tavern, or maybe you're trying to find rest at an inn. You're going to need to know what prices these inns have. Number 5. Slaves. Yes, I know this is somewhat of a touchy subject, but we need to get over it. It's a part of history. It is a part of culture. Slaves have been around for a very long time. Back in Egyptian times, even Roman and Greek times. It's just a part of life, not just in American history, but from all over the world. And this could actually be used to your advantage within campaigns, because it's even within the culture of different races within Dungeons and Dragons. You can use slaves in more ways than just, ooh, I'm going to beat you and make you work all your life for no pay. There's actually records of slavery, quote unquote, being individuals who have taken loans out and need to pay them back, but they can't because they don't have money. So they work for the loan giver as a quote-unquote slave. That's how it worked back in the day, before all this buying and trading, enemies of war to do things. But even with the type of slavery that you know of from history, it could still work in campaigns. Have a slave trade going on in your adventure, and one of your good aligned players decides to free those slaves. So while one person, saying let's say the face of the party, the person with the highest charisma, or the person who knows how to gamble or buy, stays in the forefront trying to purchase one slave, while the rest of the party is going around trying to figure out more about this slave trader. That way they can free the slaves in another way. Number 6. Luxury items, trade goods, trinkets. Perhaps your players are running a business like in Acquisitions Incorporated. They're going to need items in bulk. Or maybe they're on a farm and they are looking to resupply their farm animals or wheat seeds, or they are selling those goods and services. They need to know the price. You need to know the price. Or what if they are going to a luxury ball? They're going to need some jewelry, makeup, some elegant clothing to be able to pass off as another royal guest. Or maybe, just maybe, you need some decor to furnish your very own. Number 7. Vehicles and property. You probably have a lot of supplies, and a bag of holding just isn't going to cut it. So you're going to need a storehouse, a fortress, a place to rest your head after each adventure. So why not buy some sort of travel? Maybe a wagon, or maybe even bigger, go for a ship. No, you need to go bigger. Get a castle or a keep. Something to place some of your extra items, just so you can come back to it after your grand escapades. Number 8. Entertainment. You're going to a theater. You're gambling money to get more money, or even special items. You're going to a tournament, either to watch the entertainment or to be a part of it. Or you're enjoying some entertainment. You know the one. Number 9. Taxes. Like slavery, taxes are a big part of culture and a part of history. So going into a city during a tax collection event honestly makes a lot of sense. It's going to cost your players a little bit, but maybe, just maybe, there's a plot hook in there. Are the tax collectors fair? Maybe they're abusive. Maybe they could find out what exactly the taxes are going towards. If they're supposed to be going towards repairing the town, why hasn't the town seen repairs? Who knows? Maybe your players can find out. Number 10. Lawyers and legal fees. Honestly, this makes sense, and I've only heard stories about this once or twice. Did your PCs get caught red-handed? Maybe they've been framed. Are they being sued? Or are they doing the suing? Or perhaps your party broke a contract. They need to find a lawyer to make their deal a little sweeter, or maybe even make sure that they get off scot-free. Bonus. Bribes and blackmail. This probably has come up once or twice, and I believe I've heard a couple of old-time stories of Dungeons & Dragons adventures having to do this. Bribe the town guard to let you in, or maybe find some dirt on the mayor. Be able to earn a little bit of cash, or maybe pay off a blackmailer themselves to make sure their dirt isn't spread around. It's up to you. Anyways, how did you enjoy this video? Do you find any of these useful? Let me know down in the comments section below. And maybe you know some ideas yourself besides these tips. Until next time, this has been Drahon, and I am offline.